Hi everyone, I am back with another card making video. This is to show you how I made this Halloween card using Stampin' Up! Products. These are the Spiderweb doilies that we have in our new catalog for the holidays right now. This is from one of the stamp sets in the holiday catalog. And so are the spiders. I've added some little black rhinestones on their bodies and just did some layering with the punch, and that's it. So the inside looks like this. This is another stamp from the holiday catalog. So I'm going to show you how I made this card. I love it. And this color is Bermuda Bay. So today I'm going to use Rich Raspberry is what we're going to put on this one. So the first thing you need is, I cut my card base. This was an 8.5 by 11, and I cut it 4 1/4 by 11, and I scored it at 5.5, so it would open top-wise. So I did that. So there's the base, and that's just using some black cardstock. This one is my front mat, Rich Raspberry. This is cut at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. You are going to need a white piece. This is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. That is the one we're going to stamp. So I'm going to take my little spiders. These are from A Little Something. That's one of the new stamps. And I'm just going to use my Memento Tuxedo Black ink. I'm just going to ink up my little spiders here. And I'm just going to stamp them 6 different times on here. So I'm going to stamp this corner, I'm going to turn it, stamp in that corner, and then I'm going to stamp right in the middle. So my spiders look like that. Then I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to stamp this corner, this corner, and right in the middle. So there are my spiders. I'm going to get a wipe really quick so I can clean this stamp off. So there we have our base image. And then we're going to go ahead and work with our Spiderweb doily. So all I'm going to do is just cut this right in half. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to be trimming a little bit of this down anyway. So right in half. To give us 2 pieces, I'm going to set this aside and bring in a scratch piece of paper because it's going to get sticky from the glue. So the first thing I do is, I don't want these little ends here, so I'm just going to cut those off. Just kind of round that. They're really cool looking, but I didn't want them for this card. I wanted it more of just a web. So just cut those off like that. Okay, so then we're left with this. So I'm going to take this and flip it over, and I'm going to use my Zig 2-8 glue to apply the glue. So this takes a minute. And I'm just going to put it where I think it needs it, and I'm going to I'm going to get quite a bit. I'm going to do each one of these on the sides because that's going to be the edge of the card. That's a little sticky. Okay, so we're just going to kind of I'm going to try to do this pretty quick so we can get through this part. And like I said, just kind of dab the glue wherever so that way it sticks down pretty good. You could run this through your little Xyron sticker thing if you want. I don't have one of those, otherwise I think that would be a lot easier. And then just kind of these bigger spots here. And I'm going to go ahead and take my tweezers. Okay, so now I like to line mine up, and you don't have to do this, but I line it up on my grid here and just kind of center this. So you want it to stick out just a tad, because when we put the other one on the other side, we want them to line up in the middle. So this takes me a minute just to kind of eyeball it. So as close as you can get to centering it. I think I needed to move it down a little bit. There we go. Slide it down a little. There we go. So there we have one side. I'm going to flip this over and go ahead and give that a good rub on the back. So there's part of it. Now we're going to do the other side. So I'm just going to do that really fast. This is probably the most time-consuming part of this entire card, is just getting all of this glue on here. We do offer a fine tip glue pen, and I currently have one. I'm just not very good at using it yet. So, a little more comfortable with my Zig pen. I don't think it takes any longer to use this than it would the fine tip glue. Okay, so same thing, just gonna pull this off. And now all I'm gonna do is basically line up, try not to touch my little spots here. I'm gonna line up this little dot here with that one there, and then just kind of maneuver it around. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of getting the gist of the whole spider web's kind of meeting. So just like that, that's how I did that part. Takes a couple minutes to do that. I don't want all this sticky stuff. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and flip this over and trim. This is probably 1/8 of an inch on this side and 1/8 of an inch on the other side. So you're going to use all but approximately 1/4 of an inch of this little doily here. I just really like the way this card turned out. So there we go. Make sure that's all stuck down. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and attach this to our rich razzleberry real quick. Just to get it out of the way. Then we will work on our sentiment and layering that. You can do these in any color you want. I've done pumpkin pie. I did perfect plum. Then I did the Bermuda Bay. I also did a real red. My son Ty was like, ooh, do a red one, do a red one. I didn't think it was going to turn out that great, and it did. I don't even know if I got a good picture of it, but I gave it to my mom. She loved it. It was all basically red, white, and black. So all I'm doing is taking my little adhesive remover here and just getting some of this sticky off, which you can totally do after you do the whole card, but drives me crazy. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and attach this to my card base. And then we'll just set this whole thing aside. And we'll get that sentiment stamped. So just center this right on the front here. Like so. So there we have that part. Okay, so now we are going to use the Trick or Treat from the same A Little Something stamp set. So I have that here, and the Rich Razzleberry. So I'm just going to stamp that on some white cardstock. Like that. Clean this stamp off real quick. Okay, so now I'm going to take my Artisan Label punch, looks like that, and I'm going to go ahead and punch out this Trick or Treat. So I'm just going to line it up about there. Go ahead and punch that out. So then I'm also going to take some basic black and I'm going to go ahead and punch out a black piece, and then I'm going to take the Rich Razzleberry and I'm going to punch out one of those. So these pieces are all going to be layered. Now I'm going to take these punched pieces and I'm going to cut them in half. The same with the Rich Razzleberry. Pull out my glue pen again. And we're going to go ahead and start layering these. So I'm just going to put some glue right here on the top, and we're going to layer it with the black. And then we're going to layer the black with the Rich Razzleberry. Just like so. So do the other side. And the little black rhinestones that I'm using, I get them at Michael's. And they look like this. They come in alphabets, and I just cut them apart with an X-Acto knife. They're super tiny, and they're perfect for little tiny spots. So I'm going to put 2 of them on here. So there we have our little sentiment, and we are going to go ahead and put a couple of dimensionals on the back of this. Just going to put 2 of them, And we'll set that aside for a minute. So now we're going to bring our card back over. We're going to take a bunch of these little rhinestones and put them in the center of the spiders. You don't have to do this part. You could use some black diamond stickles, which I had thought about, but I am not very patient when it comes to stickles drying. I have to be using them at night when I'm crafting, so that way I know that my card, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that one, can sit overnight and I'm not really thinking about it. But these were like a super fast fix. Just take a little bit of time to cut apart here, but not too bad. I'm gonna see if I need to do, no, I don't really need to do either one of those. So you could actually take this stamp and you could move it up a little bit more so that way you can get these two spiders, but that's okay. It's handmade. They're not all going to look the exact same. Can't get a hold of that one. Okay, we're almost done with our spiders here. I think I counted the last card. I put probably 28 of these little things on here. Something close to that. So you can't really tell that they are on here until you pick it up and you're really looking at the card, and then you can feel the texture of them. I think it feels really cool. So there's that part. That takes a couple minutes. So now we have the little rhinestones. Well, you can see the dimension of them. They're just not sparkly because they're black. So we're going to go ahead and place our sentiment right on the front. I'm just going to center it right here between my two webs. As best as I can, so it's at least straight. So there we have the front of the card, and on the inside I have another piece of white, wherever I put it, here. And I cut this again at 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to take a stamp from the Happy Scenes stamp set. So I'm going to take this little web right here with the spider hanging down, and we're going to stamp this in Memento Black, Tuxedo Black ink. You could do, you know, I'm going to try something really quick. I'm going to do my spider purple. That's what I'm going to do. Get my rich raspberry pen. Or marker, I should say. And I'm going to actually I can't find Alright, I'm going to try to get a little bit more of this web. I was trying to find my black marker and I can't find it. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to color my little spider in rich raspberry here. I'm going to stamp a piece of scrap paper just to see if I like this or not. If not, we're just going to do the traditional black. And I'm not really liking it. So, you know, I just thought I'd give it a try. Sometimes you just have to stick with what you know. Okay, so we're just going to do this in black. I'm just going to stamp it up here in the corner. Like so. And then we will just go ahead and attach this to the inside. And if you want, you could put a sentiment on the inside. There's plenty of room. You could stick one up here, or, you know, down at the bottom, wherever you want. So I'm just going to center this inside the card. Just like that. So now we have the inside. And this stamp set, it does have wishing you a happy Halloween. And it also has boo. So let's see what the wishing you a happy Halloween. I'm going to stamp that on the inside for this card. Let me grab my block. Oops. Try to get this on here pretty straight. So this one will stamp in the rich raspberry. And that is not very straight. I'm going to line it up on my little grid here. These photopolymer stamps are kind of sticky. Oh, see? Stuck to my mat. My little paper there. So we'll do this one. I'm going to bring this a little bit closer to me so I can get it lined up and hope that my head doesn't get in the way. Just like that. I think that's going to stain my stamp. So there we have wishing you a happy Halloween. Super cute. That's it. And I've stamped the back with some craft Whisper White and just signed it with a white gel pen. So there we have the rich raspberry version and the how-to for you guys to make these. There's the Bermuda Bay. And I hope you guys like these, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!